Good afternoon, guys. Juan Grimaldo here. Today I have a good friend of mine, and she left us for a little bit, but she came back. Julie Hoyler. Julie, thank you so much for being here.
I'm happy to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you. I was wondering about the left you for a little bit. I feel like
It was a while. Seems like a little bit, but
I think what you didn't realize is I was coming and going. I was just such a hot mess that first year that, yeah.
You were ignoring us for a little
Well,
bit.
I needed to go do all the work so that you could get this refined version.
Oh, I like it.
I mean, right?
I
There
like
you
both
go.
versions, though. By the way,
Okay,
you're an
well-
amazing person, before and now. So,
I
and
hope
it seems like you're from on your perspective, you're saying you have what is it? Live better.
It's do better, be better. Come on, Juan.
Do better,
Let's
be
not
better.
get this wrong. It's do better, be better.
Okay.
Yeah, I really love that concept. I feel like it is all about that. And it's a lot deeper than that. I mean, with do better, be better, it requires that you stop and recognize where you are and know that you have a choice about where you're headed.
Exactly. So let's talk about you first. Like, who is Julie? Where are you from originally?
I'm a proud native Arizonan.
Yay.
I'm originally from Tucson. I met my husband in Flagstaff, and we raised our family in Surprise, and we own a business in Goodyear.
Love it.
And now we live in San Antonio. That's
Awesome.
a wild story, but yeah.
So she lives in San Antonio, but she works here.
Yes.
Crazy.
Yep.
Now, so we met because of our kids. They went to the same school, and we actually spent a lot of fun days together, even from holidays to
Yeah.
even vacations. So it was
Soccer
pretty
games,
cool.
lots of soccer
Lots
games.
of soccer games. We used to
Yeah.
be the pros out there chanting at the referee that he didn't know how to do his job.
Yeah,
but-
I felt like there was something like that happened. Yeah, wind out, elbows out. I remember Paulina being quite a little
she's a
scrapper.
little strong. Yeah, my daughter, she plays soccer, and she's a beast.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, you have two kids.
I do. I have two children. We have two children, Trudy and Tyler. Trudy's 21 and going to be getting married here
Yay.
in May. And our
Love it.
son, Tyler Hoyler, I always call him by his full name, Tyler Hoyler.
We'll call you guys by your name and last name, just so you know.
Oh, you do
Julie,
too?
yeah, of course.
Oh,
Julie
okay.
Hoyler, and yeah.
So it started because Trudy is a pretty unique name. Tyler came home in third grade and was like ticked off because there was 3 other Tylers in his class. And I said, yeah, but you're the only Tyler Hoyler. And it's sort of been that way ever since. He's starting his career as a flight attendant.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I was always fascinated by. I'm still fascinated by
Yeah.
airplanes. How these big machines fly, and now being on it every single time.
Seriously.
You fly every week, right?
Nope, once a month.
Once a month.
Yeah.
Oh, so you stay here for.
I'm only here
Okay,
for
I'm not-
about a week. I went from, that's probably why you see this refined version of me. I went from working quite literally 60 plus hours a week, knowing every customer, every opportunity, really knowing all the components of the business, to becoming a lady of luxury. I think what I would say is that imposter syndrome is real.
Oh yeah, trust me.
Yeah, so that has been a real adjustment to go from that type of work to now it's literally like maybe 10 hours a week for the business and then once a month for a few days.
You know what? This is something that us as business owners tend to not look at because we want to be part of it, and I'm guilty of that right now because I'm in my own way, right?
Yeah.
So how was that transition, and was it easy?
Well, it certainly wasn't easy. It's actually been, in some ways, the hardest thing I've ever done, but also really the greatest. I feel like Brene Brown is this famous lady who really has some great advice. I believe she studies shame and vulnerability. She talks about at midlife, you have an opportunity to decide, what works and what doesn't. So that was sort of forced on me. I do think definitely as business owners, we have this drive within us that is what gets us where we're going.
Exactly.
But I think it gets a lot of us good. And I think it takes a conscious decision to decide to be great.
Exactly.
And to be great and, with a lot of opportunity to always do better, not just sort of have it be somewhere you're supposed to get.
Right, because again, if you were in the business, so it seems like you went from good to great, which is a great book.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that is a great book. By the way, that's another one of all the reading I've done a lot. Yeah, that is one.
Exactly, and I think that's what takes you from one place to the other is like we want to control everything, we want to do everything, but in the meantime, we're actually getting on people's ways, and what happens is, correct me if I'm wrong, we get in people's ways trying to help them out,
Yeah.
get their way, and get their things done.
Yeah.
So you own a print company, right? And so what has been, so you used to work 60 hours, now you work 10. So is the business better?
Yeah, it turns out it is. Thanks a lot, Juan. Go ahead.
No, no, no.
Buena.
I'm just asking
Yeah,
because
it
you
is.
said
It actually
you
is.
look amazing. You look like you're having a fun time.
Well,
And I used to see you and you be like, ah.
oh, so you know what? This is really what it is I discovered that there is a component of that when you are building a business, that there are going to be days and periods of time where it is chaos, and that is your identity, is the struggle and the hustle and being the first guy out and the last guy in. That's part of it. The thing is, what happens when it's not supposed to be that anymore? And
Right.
that's where it is. You have to find your identity somewhere else. And so for me, I definitely, Jerry describes me. Jerry's my handsome hunk of a husband, 25 years in May, as wonderfully witty and delightfully difficult. I describe myself as bossy as sin, motivating people to within an inch of their lives and challenging the ones I love to do better and be better. I think that, yeah, you have to really figure that out. You have to recognize what world you're creating and what opportunities you to have to make it different. And that, so yeah, so for me, I just started to really focus on the things I like. And I love people. I love to help people. I've actually, on paper, have been through a lot of really hard things. And I have a wonderful family that I am grateful
You do.
for, and I love my
Beautiful
immediate
family.
family in particular. My extended family, where I came from, also really powerful in my life, and I have learned so much. But I've also recognized that there's things that maybe I don't need to use anymore and want to move from, and so I've had the opportunity to do that. And
Okay.
I think that can be hard sometimes for people to learn to find their identity elsewhere. You got to not be afraid to be vulnerable.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Yeah, so I guess it's really just discovering and being honest about what it is you're actually feeling.
Okay.
Right? I think we were talking a little bit about this concept that I'm really into right now, this idea of choosing discomfort over resentment, another, I think, Brene Brown concept. But anyway, and you had said speak more on that, was really this, what you would think is it was to have hard conversations, right? You have an employee, they're not great. You need to go have the hard conversation of letting them go. I actually think that's not what it is. It's that you need to go sit with yourself in the discomfort that they might be incredibly happy doing all the right things, and you don't actually have any reason to be angry at them. Perhaps you really made a mistake. You hired somebody that you didn't need, or I found myself in those positions before, and I had to sit with the idea that it was okay, that I couldn't make it better for everybody, but I did have to, I had to be okay with that. And that's the thing is, life isn't black and white. And you just have to make sure you're using all the colors, right? Or like listening to all the voices. I can convince myself of a lot.
Oh, yeah. It's
I
very
mean,
easy for us
yeah.
to say, you know what, yes, I am doing the right thing.
Yeah.
So give me an example in that regard. So do you have an employee that you don't think is the right fit for that job, yet you won't want to have the conversation? How would you approach it now?
So now I'm really focused. I'm able to really focus on that there have been things that I've done that I've done really well, and there are also things that I've done really poorly at, and that's okay. That there are going to still be some things that I'm going to do really poorly at, and that's also okay. This like idea of perfectionism, that we can avoid
It's
mistakes, like it really is. And so I think I've just embraced that, and I just look forward to it. I think words matter. It turns out the things we say to ourselves matter.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, when we first moved to San Antonio, Jerry came home from work one day, and he came home, and I was like, babe, dude, I talk a lot. And he's like, yeah, sometimes you can get a little chatty. And I'm like, no, I talk a lot. And he's like, who were you talking to? And I'm like, oh, myself, like all day long, like conversation after conversation. And really, day after day after day of that made me recognize, like, wait, who am I listening to? Like, what if? And so then started thinking about things like, if I am gonna, I like next level ADHD and I think all the time, if I'm going to do that, how about I control some of that? And then, really
Change the
focus.
conversation within yourself.
Yeah. Assume positive intent, to own your impact, all these great things. Like,
And sometimes it's hard because of how we were brought up, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
if you didn't do something right, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're this, you're that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like those conversations are still in our heads, and
Yeah.
they don't belong to us. And that's one of the things that I tell my kids: if somebody comes here and dumps a load of poop,
yeah.
it's up to you to take it.
Yeah.
That's how they feel. And we were talking about this earlier. Is if I come at you in a bad way, and I'm very good at this. Sometimes, I'm stressed and I have a lot of stuff going
Sure.
on, and you come and ask me a question. I'm like, what? Well, they say that if someone's walking by you and they have coffee and they spill the coffee over you and you get coffee on your clothes, you're upset, right?
Yeah.
So you're upset at that person. Well, why are you upset at that person? Well, 'cause they spilled the coffee on me. Well, they spilled coffee because they had coffee on them. So what is it that we have inside of us that we share with others in a mean or a good way?
Yeah.
And I think those conversations are important to have before we explode. And I need to work so much on that because I'm very explosive.
Yeah, or decide, learn some tools that can help us with that. I mean, I definitely grew up in a home. I adore my dad, one of the most brilliant men I've ever met. But also, like, I look at him now and I'm like, gosh, I hope, I'm going to be 50 this year and I'm so excited. Like every year, my only complaint is I can't see a damn thing. I really
I'm
freaking
getting,
hate that.
I got glasses too. So
Yeah.
I took them off. I use them to read, but when I use them for a little too long, I have to wear them again. So.
Again, yeah, that's really my only complaint. But I hope that when I'm 77 that I'm still excited about learning and about, being happy for people and about helping people. I don't ever want to feel like I'm done. And so I definitely think, that is a big thing.
You were mentioning your dad, like you didn't want to, you love your dad, yet
Yeah.
was there something there that...
That we have these learned behaviors, right?
Okay.
Oh, my dad said, as much as I love him, that's right. He said, fear is the greatest human motivator. And he
True.
definitely a really volatile Italian Catholic man. You come from
yeah,
an Italian
I'm kind of the same way.
Hispanic Catholic family, right? So
I think I'm
that.
somehow Italian. That last
I mean,
name
Grimaldo,
but
yeah.
I know,
really.
right? And I think the temper, I don't know. I'm not saying
Yeah, I mean, but we have, so there is this thing that they say, but that really is a concept, like, oh, hot-headed Italians, it runs in the family.
I mean, my family is.
Well, mine too, but I decided I didn't want to be.
No.
Yeah, and so that's really what happened, is I was like, you know what?
The label you give yourself.
Yeah.
You
really.
are? I am.
mean,
This is what you are, right?
well, sometimes that's what I decided, is when I realized, like, oh, sometimes I'm like that, but I don't actually want to be like that all the time. And so then I recognized, like, in those moments, what's actually happening. And it's usually something else, like fear or anger, secondary emotion. It's either fear of failure or fear of shame or fear of something. And so I'm just not afraid of those things anymore. I know that I tell people, listen, the good news is this isn't really that hard of work. Like, it's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of backing up. It's a matter of making sure. So it's really not that hard. The problem is that we're never, ever done.
You realize it when it's a little too late. And this happens to me a lot with Helen. Like, she works with me. And sometimes I get a little too excited very quickly. And I'm like, I'm sorry, baby. I apologize. I shouldn't have gotten this upset. But it's like the habit that we have already that we need to break little by little and be aware of it, right?
Yeah. So, right. Or maybe we need to not just say sorry. We need to say, hey, next time I'm going to do this. How about we do something different next time? When I'm feeling this way, I'm going to acknowledge it. And I'm going to say, so that's what I do. I would say things like, when I can become very directive, our business we've really been blessed to have great opportunity, to have really a lot of success, high volume, high stress. And so I've had a lot of opportunities that I could justify yelling, and shame became a part of it because I was motivated like that as a kid myself. And so I could feel justified in that, but I never really liked that feeling.
And it's funny because I was brought up not in that regard, but I grew up around people like that were like that. Like, they would shame you, and that I always looked at it from outside,
Right.
and I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it. So when somebody was gonna do that to me, I'm like, hey, I would stop him because it feels horrible.
Yeah.
Yet these people would shame others, and they feel like powerful.
Yeah.
And it, for me, it was something that I noticed that I don't like shaming people, but
Right.
that's one of the things that are hard.
Here's the mystery of it all.
Okay.
Ready?
Go for it.
So simple. hurt people hurt people. Like, that's really what it comes down to. The good news is that there is an antidote. I'm so excited to tell you that the antidote is to love. Like,
Amen.
really. And the thing that's where it becomes a little bit challenging is that, unfortunately, the people that need the most love are really, like, dare I say, dangerous to love. Because
And hard to love, right?
Well, they're certainly hard, but they can be dangerous because you can get hurt in the process. And so
Right.
you have to have healthy boundaries, and you have to do all this work on your own to process things and to decide. So I still get those feelings of rage or whatever, but now today I can say I actually don't have to be like that. I don't have to. It's okay for anyone else's. I don't need to go explain why my dad is or isn't. Like, I just don't have to.
Exactly. And I think one of the, it's in a different realm, but Bill Gates said, if you were born poor, it's not your fault.
Right.
But if you die poor, it is your fault. So same thing with this,
Exactly.
right? If you
Yeah.
were born in this kind of environment, I mean, my dad was an amazing person,
Yeah.
and he grew up in a different era
Yes,
with
as
different
did mine.
parents
Yeah.
that had, again, the abuse was not abuse. It was just how you discipline kids, right? But I chose not to do the same thing. You know, I
Right.
love my kids. I mean, it's, to me, they're everything. Did I spank them a couple times? I did,
Yeah.
you know, growing up.
Yeah.
But I was more conscious of that and be like, you know what? Do I need to really get violent with them to get them to be disciplined?
Right. I think also, like, what we are doing differently is I have a really, really great, I'd like to think a really great and healthy relationship with my dad, because I know that anything that was ever done was done
With love. With love.
And I know that sounds like such a cliche thing, but
It's true.
only in the sense that it meant that it was more than just bad, right? It was more than just shame. And so that is really the idea, is that we have to be able to see the more than, and then decide what part we take and what part we just leave over there.
100%.
Yeah.
One of the things that I learned a while ago that helped me cope with how my mom was a different story, right? We didn't get along. It wasn't a good relationship
Oh,
to the
yeah,
point that
those
I left when I was
Hispanic
17.
moms,
Yeah.
they're hard.
She was very, very Catholic and very like,
Oh, yeah. Oof, they're
so,
hard.
but one of the things that I learned is everyone, even those evil people, are trying to do the best
Yes.
with what they know. Unfortunately, what they know to be best sometimes is not what we see as best, right?
Right.
So if and that's one of my coaches. I heard it from him. His mother abandoned him as soon as he was born, and people would ask him like, aren't you resentful to your mom? And he's like, no, she did the best thing for her, and it was the best thing for me because didn't want to have a kid.
Right.
She had a mind of a 12-year-old.
So he understood that.
So he understood it, and he let it go. And he's like, I know she did the best she could with what she had and what she knew.
Right.
So, and that's how I see everything going forward. Like from that point on,
Yeah.
because my mom was trying to be the best mom with what she
Yeah.
knew.
Right.
She was a nun at 12 years old.
Right. I see. And I don't even know that it's let it go as much as it's I can take
Accept
it and
it.
I can see it and I
Yeah.
can understand it.
Exactly.
And
It's gonna be there. It's
yeah.
probably gonna hurt, but like, for me, it doesn't hurt me anymore. I mean, my mom was the way she was, and I can see how she grew up, and the discipline was crazy,
Right.
So now for me, I think I didn't get as much as she did, but for me, it was a little too much. And now with my kids, we're a little more open.
Yeah.
Yet, are we doing the right things? Because a lot of the things that we kind of change.
Right. Well, I mean, here's the good news. We always have the opportunity to, come on, ladies and gentlemen, and for the people in the back, do better and be better. I mean,
100%.
seriously, that's really what it comes to, because that's the difference. It's never, I also think with families like ours, there's this idea, I'm going to, same thing. My dad's one of 10 children. He's the firstborn male. Like, there's all of these roles
Same story.
that we're required to play. He was a very successful physician. He lost his wife, my mother, tragically, of a brain aneurysm, like all of these things. And so that's the thing, is he's like every experience in life was just this thing that I have to win and I have to be the best at. The problem is that at some point the race is done. Like at some point we're missing out on opportunities to be like, oh, you know what, man, dude, you go ahead and take this one. I am so glad for you to win. I'm happy
100%.
for you. I'm learning from your experience. Like, Otherwise, it's either we're winning or we're pissed off at the guy who is.
Exactly.
And that I don't want to do.
No, no,
I
no.
don't want to do that.
Life, and for me, the way I've been living my life since a few years ago is I make my work, my environment, my lifestyle. So I work like we're having fun right here. This is so cool to do, right? And we're sharing our experiences with others that may be going through the same thing we are. Because we're all, one of the things that I learned, we have a Bible study. And one of the things that I've learned is like, we're all going through the same stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just mask it out and we say, oh, it's all pretty, it's cute and everything.
Yeah.
The reality is we all have issues, we all have problems. It's how we deal with them.
Yeah.
And then going back to what you were saying is we do have the opportunity to change. And one of the things that I shared with my kids the other day is like, what if I did wrong? It wasn't because I wanted to be bad to you guys. It's because that's all I knew.
Yeah.
As I improve and I working on being better, I'm going to try to be better.
Yeah.
So don't feel that I did it because I was evil or I didn't love you. It's everything that I do is because I love you. And the reason I do it is because to me, that was the right thing to do at that time. Now learning, I can change that.
Yeah. So I'm just sitting here because it's interesting because like I had the father. So I was like, what would I really want? What if it was not just like, hey, I did these things and I did them because I love you. So what I'll say to my children is I did the very best I could and I do genuinely love you. And if the things that I did hurt you, I would like to talk about it. I would like you to know that like if I want to validate your hurt, I want to validate, we have a son. He said to me, Mom, if you out me, he's wonderful.
Oh.
Our son is gay and he's wonderful. And we've learned so much
an amazing
about
kid.
that. And yeah, it's been such a journey, but that is one of the things is like, really just having this, like none of it matters at the end of the day. Like we all have a choice and I'm a very Christian woman. I love Jesus. He's like my very best friend. And, I feel like more people should get to know him. He's super fun.
Amen. 100%.
And just, keep it simple. Like, understand that we have a purpose. There's something bigger than this.
Yep.
And do what he said. Just love one another. And,
he emphasized the two most important was love God and love people.
That was
if you do that, there wouldn't be any sin. There wouldn't be any crimes, anything.
Yeah.
If you love you, would I do anything bad to you? No, I love you, and everything's going to be fine.
Right. I mean, because that's the deal. Like, it turns out, like, you don't get to decide. Like, there's only... So it's some of the things I've also grown a lot in these couple of years. It is surprising to me, the amount of people. So whenever someone asks me how I am, and we ask one another that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I have the same response. I've had it for a while now. I say, so good. Turns out it's a choice, and I choose that one every damn day.
That's powerful. Can you repeat that again?
So good. Turns out it's a choice. I choose that one every damn day.
Exactly. It's a choice.
And the truth is I do. And those who know me and those who are around me would tell you that about me because that's the point. It is a choice. And it's not to say that we have not had hard times, that we've had really hard times. And I'm grateful for them. I've learned from them, but I definitely don't want to be defined by them. I'd much rather be defined by, what I learned from. And then I'm just really passionate about helping people because that's so good. People are like, what? I should do that. I'm like, you should. You totally should.
I got goosebumps because there's a quote that I think is Zig Ziglar that he says, in order to get to, what you want, you have to help others get what they want. And that's being selfless, right? I mean, why do we do this? And the reason we want to share this kind of stuff is, again, we're going through the same stuff, right, together. Mm-hmm. And if you hear it from others, then you can feel normal, natural, and say, you know what, maybe I have to have a conversation about how do I improve my relationships with my wife, with my kids,
right.
and be open about it. So I think it's a good thing that you're here, and I'm happy that you're here visiting us.
Thank you so
and
much.
I'm happy that you're
be
doing
here.
amazing. So let me just take you back a little bit within the business. Because one of the quotes that we have, and Gary Keller is an amazing coach. And one of the things he says is you fail forward.
Yes. Oh, gosh, I love that.
You failed your way to success.
Yes.
Right? Because a lot of people think that, like, right now you're doing great. Business is amazing.
Yeah, we really are.
A lot of success. And people see you now, you're like, oh, well, it's too easy to get this kind of business.
Yeah.
How was it?
Oh, no, it hasn't been easy at all. It's been so fun. And we have definitely failed quite a bit. And
because you fail.
That's exactly
you succeeded.
right. I've learned these lessons that I don't know that they would have been hard to learn otherwise. Like the concept of having the customer be second. Like you have to have a strong organization. You have to have a really good foundation, and it can't be driven by the customer. And so, like, I don't know that I would have been able to learn that if we didn't make the mistakes. And so now, with this focus really on building a team and coaching a team, and I mean, I'm living my best life. Like, it's just being a cheerleader, like, sign me up. That has been an interesting thing. The amount of people that live their life trying to be perfect and just so afraid to make a mistake. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, this is what I say. I tell people we're a 9 center. I mean, everyone's got to have something to work towards, right? And so I hire 8s. I'm like, I don't hire 10s. I'll tell you why. There are some 10s out there, but they are not fun to work with. They are generally total turds. Like, they can't stand that people aren't as smart as them.
Right.
I might have some family members that are like that. And so I just, 9s, they can take themselves a little too seriously, but 8s, like, that's a strong
They're working
number.
towards getting there.
Yeah, because here's the deal with 8s. 8s are going to occasionally show up as a 3, and that's okay. That's the point. Like, that you got it. Like, what I have this little sign that says, "Be patient with yourself. Nothing blooms year round." Like,
True.
What the other thing about an 8 though is when their counterpart shows up as a 3, then they're going to be a 10 that day. Because they know if you've created an environment, they know that there's going to be a day that they show up as a 3, right? But if we haven't, as the leaders, if we haven't cultivated that environment, and not just cultivated, but taught it, explained it, like, really not, and it's not fake. Like, I think that's probably the difference in me is I've always been a kind person. I've always really liked people, but I've also been judged for that. Like, she's fake or she's whatever. And I just don't hear that anymore. And so maybe that's the difference. I guess in some ways it is hard to be just kind, because there certainly are people that are going to have issue with that. You just have to remember that part about hurt people hurting people.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's been a journey, my friend.
So going back to, you said customer second.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So customer second is really the idea that we can't operate from a position of fear, right? Like, we need customers in our business. The majority of what we do is custom. We've been blessed to be in an area that our clientele have really big names that are really important, and so that can get really intimidating. And so,
how do you deal with that?
So I'm just very real. Like, I try to remind my team that I have their back and that they are a part of something far greater than themselves, and that they can be confident in that. And that when they are lacking the confidence, that they can turn to me and get that confidence, because I'm here to help them get there. What is important in that, I think, is that it is crucial as the leader that you recognize who is doing that and who isn't, because for sure, the good to great concept is, I think, what is it like? Being able to look at the hard truth, right?
Exactly.
That you do have to be aware, because if someone kind of goes into their own world and it starts only listening to their own narrative, I mean, let me tell you something.
Oh, you can be great inside there.
Well, or you could show up to my center on the wrong day and be like, these people don't have a freaking clue what they're doing. And in that moment, apparently we didn't. But that's not who we are. You know what I'm saying? The good news is I've hopefully created a space that's okay. We're going to recover from that, or that is just a temporary thing or whatever,
So basically, this concept, correct me if I'm wrong, is putting your mask on before you put it to.
Yes.
Right.
Definitely.
So in a lot of the reason I brought you back to it is because some people might take this the wrong way. It's not that we don't care about the customer. It's just basically the same thing, right? If I'm hurt, I'm going to hurt you. If I'm not in the right mindset, I'm not going to help you the right way. And also, I want to make sure that I take care of myself so that I can take care of your business.
Yeah.
Right.
It's actually, I care about the customer so much. I care about
that
the
I want to
customer
make sure that
so
I'm in the
much
best.
that I need to show up. This is my game. This is like I tell my team, that I'm the coach they're the varsity team and we're going to battle. Like, I definitely want them to feel like that idea.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good. Anything else you want to share with us?
I mean, there's my brain's spinning. I think there's so many things, but I definitely think that the message I would really want people to know is that they do have the opportunity to do better and be better. It requires really taking the time to recognize the parts that they don't really like and understanding how they got there. Why do I act the way I do? Why do I feel the way I feel? Why do I get anxious when I get anxious? You know, and whatever that is, if it's accepting that your brain is wired differently, like mine, then accept that and own it. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, oh, dude, I'm next level ADHD. Like, that's an explanation, not an excuse. Like, it's part of who I am. Like, trust me.
I think we just, our bodies and our brains move so fast, like
Yeah.
we can stand ourselves, right? Like,
Yeah, it's just what it is. But it's my greatest strength. It's my greatest weakness. It's who I am. I am who I am. Like, that's what it is. And I don't want to keep being seen as different. I certainly love the attention. I mean, come on. I don't think I got enough as a kid. But the truth is, I hope to not be different. I hope that there's a whole lot of Julies walking around that are helping people.
well, you said I'm like you, and I am. I definitely am.
Yeah.
I can see you like moving.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go.
That's it.
We're anxious
that's
to live.
it.
We're anxious for life, and we want to have a good life, and we want other people to have the same
I
thing.
want
and
them to have it too.
we're gonna have you more and more. I think it'd
Absolutely.
be
Let's
awesome
keep
for you
doing
to come
this.
over and
Yeah.
hang out.
I'll see you next month. I'm going to go be a lady of luxury in the
Let's do
meantime.
it.
Have fun working, guys.
Definitely, right?
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
it.
Well, thank you so much for coming over.
Absolutely.
Happy to have
Always,
you.
Always.
God bless you.
Yeah,
God bless
same
you
to
guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yep. See you
See you
later.
next time.